The insights and messages shared in this video are for entertainment and inspirational purposes only. They reflect my intuitive impressions and personal interpretations, and are not intended as professional advice. The messages shared in this video are offered with the intention of uplifting, enlightening, and guiding the soul. They are for entertainment and spiritual reflection only, and are not a substitute for professional advice. If you find yourself feeling distressed or considering negative actions based on anything shared, please pause and reconsider. Know that you are deeply loved. These readings are meant to inspire healing and hope, and always with love. If they are received otherwise, the message may have been misunderstood or not meant for you at this time. Always trust your inner wisdom and seek support when needed.
Hello, all you lovely ladies and gentlemen out there. I do hope you're well. I have something that needs to be addressed, and I would like to do this interview with a grand lady that I've known for many years now. And I have wanted to do this interview, and it's came up in a time that is needed, I feel. And these questions have been asked of this lady. So I decided, hi Sheila, I decided that why not do this as we mean to go on, and this lovely lady as I bring her on. Good evening, Barbara. How are you?
Making it. I wish it was better, but it's what it is.
Hello, Mr. Wolfie. Good evening, my darling. Everybody, this is BarbaraThanksJesus. She does have her own YouTube channel where she does pleasantry things. She does Christian, she reads from the Bible, she does her resin, she makes her pieces, and she just loves life as it happens. And these questions have come about by someone that has asked for them. And what no other to do is to ask the lady herself. I have my trusty clipboard with the 36 questions that have been asked. But before I do, I need to clean my glasses because I've got a smudge, and there is no point in reading a bit document with a smudge. So we'll clean the old bit glasses. Yes, Mussy looks a mess without her glasses, but hey, there you go. So, Miss Barbara, are we ready to get started?
I'm ready. As long
Right,
as my energy
right, madame.
holds out.
The first question that was asked, sweetheart, was, are you really adopted?
Yes, I am adopted. Actually, I was adopted twice. The first time they adopted me, they kept me for 3 months, and my natural mother decided they needed more money, so she came and she got me. At that time, it had to be a year and 1 day with your adopted parents, and within that time, your parents could come back and get you. So they did. And then within a month, they got in trouble with the law and needed more money. So my adopted parents paid the extra money and got me back. And I was 3 at that time.
Well, there you go, folks. Straight from the lady's mouth. Well, as we mean to go on, Miss Barbara, well, as you say, the next question was, how old were you?
Um, well, I was 2 and then I was 3 the second time.
Okay, dokie. Third question on the list, sweetheart, as we go on. Is it true you could not speak, and why?
No, my brother and I could not speak. Okay. They were cruel people. My mother allowed her boyfriend to cut the inside of our mouth between the lip and the teeth and then slice our tongue. And we did have to have surgery to have it fixed. And because of the way it was fixed, they had to take my lip and turn it inward and take some of the lip to stitch it because of the way he had cut the inside. So a lot of people called me lipless. Hey, I have lips, but that's the reason. And then after I was adopted, uh, the doctor had to finally cut part of the tongue up underneath again because it had not healed right. So, yes, it was a long time before I could speak. All I could say was wah for water. And I stomp and I cry. And when you're a child and you need something and you can't say it, you get really upset. And that's a trauma that I've had to live through. I've had a lot of people who said that I've lied about it and all that. But my son knows the truth. My cousins know the truth because they lived through it with me. And one cousin was supposed to be coming in today, but she had to work over. Um, Actually, when I was adopted and they brought me into Lake Charles, I had a pair of shorts on, no shirt or nothing. And they had to wash me 2 or 3 times to get the crud off of me. And my first cousin was 3 weeks difference than me. She was a little bit bigger than me, but they gave me some clothes, and my mother worked at Learners at that time, and we went to Learners and bought clothes for me.
Okay, okay, my darling, sorry to hear that. Next question. How did your adopted parents treat you?
Oh, I only remember once when my father hit me over the head with his nub because I had studied for hours on my spelling words and I knew them, but anytime I was asked to repeat it, I never could. I had a learning disability. And there's only one time. Other than that, while the other kids were getting board games and dolls and stuff, my parents saw me needing more experience stuff. Like um, they had given me a reel to reel back then where I could speak into it, record what I was saying, listen back, and try to advance the way I was speaking. Helped, help me advance, help me learn. I got record players where I had instructional records that taught me my ABCs, my one, two, threes, all like this. They weren't the little bitty 45 records. They were these bigger, 79 records, I think is what they were. Um,
72.
is it, no, 78s, I thought, or 79, something like that. Um, I never needed for clothing. I never needed for food. My dad was a carpenter and he taught me anything and everything he knew. Mom, she wasn't too much. She had raised her brothers and sisters because she had stepmothers and stuff. So she knew how to raise children, but she didn't have the schooling. Um, how can I say? Mother was tender and kind. I even have a letter that she had the VFW ladies write me before she died to let me know some of what was of my childhood. And I always came first in their lives. If I got sick and they had, say, they both went to work for Sears for 30 years. And if they had a big party or something like that for New Year's or whatever, I was sick, they canceled their parties. I went first. Um, my grandparents raised me a lot because both my parents worked at Sears. I didn't have one mom and dad. My grandparents were like my mother and father. Then dad's two sisters didn't have children because by the time their husbands came back from the service and stuff, they just were too old. Um, I think my aunt Jean, that I call Aunt Virginia, she had um, ovarian cancer like I had. I did not know this until it was time for her to have her hysterectomy. She couldn't have kids. So they were my parents too. We would go to Penny's with my grandmother and my two aunts and me, and the women would say, "You can tell that's a family. That's three generations right there," which really I was of my dad, you know.
Yeah.
But it was so loving. My aunt taught me to crochet and do all the crafts. That dad taught me the painting, and he would make um, take a piece of wood and he'd sand it down, varnish it with some kind of glue, take pictures out of different magazines and glue it on there for me. Then he'd use his saw and cut it out and made puzzles for me. Back then, I'm 70 years old now. So you can imagine in the late 50s and early 60s, you didn't have that much stuff. And my parents were not, they were well off, but they weren't rich. They weren't, I was raised on a farm, like, um, we lived in the country. Um, when I wanted a horse, Dad got me a horse. When I wanted to skates, he bought me skates. When they would get off at 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoons, and on Fridays would drive me out from the country back into town to go to Pelican Skate City. Um, if I wanted to go to the movies, mom or my aunts would take me to the movies. It was a very loving, we were like a cluster of homes. It was my grandmother and us, and then my aunt, and then their cousins. It was a family group area. We knew each other, and it was a big change for me from what I knew and went through the abuse and everything as an infant and child, and then with such loving parents that they could have had anybody. They picked me. That tells you when you adopt somebody and you love somebody and that love is strong. A lot of people has kids, they don't want them. They raise them and they're mean. You know, I didn't have that kind of life. I didn't. Um, if I wanted a bicycle, I got a bicycle. I got music boxes and jewelry, good jewelry, not the cheap little girls' jewelry or anything like that. And I only wore it on special occasions. My clothes was mostly made by my aunt, and I said, no, I don't like that color, or I don't like this. She would change it. She was a seamstress. I learned from her. Now I learned to cook from my daddy. He was a really good cook. People would call him up and say, hey, can you make a big old pot of spaghetti and meatballs and stuff? We're coming over. You know, my mom and dad never turned anyone down. They needed money. Daddy lent out $10,000 to a young man. because he needed, his father died. The insurance money hadn't come in yet, and he needed to pay for his next um, course to become an attorney. So Daddy lent him the money, and when the insurance came, that's the kind of people they were. We never, I never had to do without, but I never asked for anything either. I was a quiet child, um, because I was adopted and because of the last name. We we went through a lot of hell because of the abusiveness and the um, harassment, stuff like that. Um, I had to have special shoes. One of my legs is 1 inch shorter than the other, and I had to have this lift put in my shoe. My uncle was a shoe repairman, so we got it done. But while the other kids wore black shoes, I had to wear those black and white Oxford shoes. I was so embarrassed, but I knew I had to have it if it was going to correct my spine, you know. And for everything I did, if I was off on the day that Mama was off and I helped her clean house and stuff, I got paid for it. They didn't have to pay me. I was their daughter, but that's what they did. If When I was old enough, about 8 years old, I started cutting grass with a push lawnmower for a 2 acre lot. And that was hard.
I
But
can remember those push
oh
lawnmowers.
yeah, oh yeah. So and then when they got the one you rode and drove, I always got extra money for it. But you know what? I wasn't one to spend the money. I had a wooden box my grandfather had, and I would put all my money in there. And then at times, if I wanted something, I didn't just go in the box and take it. It was my money. But I go to my parents and says, "Look, I'd like to buy me this record by somebody who's singing something." So they would take me, and it used to be uh, TGMY. That was a long time ago. And I had signed a little piece of paper and put in a box. I don't even remember what it was for. I think to win a new bike. But I was there to buy a record. 2 weeks later, we get a phone call. Mama says, "You got a personal phone call." I went, "What? From who?" And they said that I had won from the draw. I didn't win the bikes, but I won some tennis shoes. And it was a simple life. We Daddy taught me how to raise ducks and rabbits and geese and how to milk a cow. That's the kind of parents I had. They were very loving, took time with me. Um, every day after school, I had to go to a special class because of my learning disability, speech disability, and other handicaps I had. They never once complained to have to take me and then come pick me back up. Never.
Sorry, sis.
I like the faces you make.
Right, my darling. Well, it seems to you answered quite a few questions there
Oh,
because you have, believe it or not, is it true you had a speech impairment? You answered
yes.
that one.
Yeah, I
Oh,
still do. I still do, even at 70 years old. But it's because of some of the illnesses I've had. Um, I
don't go
still
into your illnesses because there's a lot of questions here.
okay. Okay, I'm fine. Wow. That's a lot of questions.
Yes, there's, and I've got another sheet of them, so
My goodness, yeah.
we'll get through them one by one. Did you truly have a learning problem?
Did I truly have a what?
A learning problem.
Lemon problem?
Learning.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Um, a learning problem? Is that
Yes.
what you said? Oh yeah, I did. I did. Every year I failed. I went to summer school. My parents paid for it. I would like one or two subjects I had trouble with. I could not memorize things. The learning problem came because of dyslexia and also because I did not speak until I was 3 months short of 5 years old. So, yes, the learning problem, it just, I couldn't. And another factor that fell into it, my grandmother spoke Cajun French to me, and I would speak it back to her. When I started kindergarten, they had to teach me English. So, yeah, learning problem always had trouble.
Right, my darling. We're starting to get into the nitty gritty here, so bear with me. Next question, question number 7. Dun, 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 dun. Right, sorry. Did you have a sorry? Did you have? Do you have ADHD? I can't even say it. ADHD or other disorders like that?
No, I never had ADHD. I was never autistic. Um, Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you. I They did not put me as post traumatic stress disorder (PTSD) until 1992, or bipolar until then. So no, as growing up, I didn't have anything like that. Just had dyslexia.
Okay, okay. Why did you live in the country and not the city?
Okay, we did live in the city. Interstate 210 came right through Dever Street where we had lived. So the state bought us out, and Daddy built a home out in the country. Everybody that was on Dever Street and Louisiana Avenue right there was bought out. We all moved out in the country. Like I said, it was kind of family. It was a family group. So we moved as a family.
Pause that interview this moment. Hi, Lisa and Ali. Welcome into the channel. We are doing an interview with none other, Miss Barbara ThanksJesus. So, next question. Is it true your dad had only one hand, and how did he lose it?
Yes, Dad did not have a right hand. In 1956, he was working for T. Miller Construction Company. He was a supervisor, manager, whatever they called it back then. He was not supposed to work that day, but one of his workers were sick, so he went in. At that time, the skill saws did not have safety gadgets on them. He was cutting a piece of wood and hit a really bad wood knot, you know, KNOT, a knot.
Yeah.
And the saw went up, and when it came down, it completely sliced off his hand at his wrist. So they couldn't put it back on, so they sewed up the nub there. A few weeks later, the nerve hurt him so bad, so they cut his arm in half. So he had a nub that was about, I'd say, about 5 inches from his elbow, and it never stopped him.
Okay, okay. Next question. How did he build homes with one hand?
How did he what?
How did he build homes with one hand? That was
When
the
God,
next question.
okay, when God takes something away, he gives something back. My daddy just, that nub was stronger than his left hand his whole life. He could pick, now, can you see any of us trying to pick up 5 1-gallon buckets of paint full? He could pick that up with that nub without his hook, just him bending his arm at the elbow. He could drive in 16 penny nails. He was a contractor, and he built several homes even after losing that arm. He never stopped. God gave him a special gift.
He gave him will to be able to
Mhm.
work with what he had.
Yes,
And you also already answered this question. Is it true both your parents worked at Sears?
yes, they both retired after 30 years. Actually, Daddy retired in October of 87, and Christmas Eve, I found him on the ground with a massive stroke that hit the side of his, that had the good hand.
Why didn't your father or your aunts have any kids?
Mama, she was pregnant and she miscarried. And the doctor said it was best that she didn't try, she would miscarry again. So they decided to adopt. Now, Daddy could have kids. I think, like I said before, I've already answered this. Aunt Hayes and Aunt Virginia was older when their husbands got out of the service and what they did, and they didn't really want any more kids. Now, my uncle stayed in the Navy for 20 years, and they decided that it wasn't a place to raise a kid at that time. Okay, so my daddy had to have surgery again when they did the second arm, when they had to cut his arm twice, and his friend donated blood, which gave him hepatitis B. So with the medical bills and everything like that, he couldn't afford to adopt me. Now, my dad had a brother in Rain with 3 kids, and they were going to adopt me. Then my aunt said, "You know what? She's not speaking." Da 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 da. That's when Aunt Hayes tried, and her husband was out of the country. Aunt Jean and them, they decided, the Navy is not good for a child that can't talk and stuff. But what they did do, Mom and Dad wanted me really bad. They pulled the money in and got the money for them to adopt me and everything like that. So, like I said, I don't have one mom and dad. I had several, because it has to be a loving family that takes their extra money to help a brother or sister adopt a kid, because it was still expensive back then. Attorney fees and everything. It was $5,972. I'll never forget that amount.
Next question, sweetheart. Are you ready for this?
I'm gonna tell the truth. I mean, life is what it was.
No, this is about now. Well,
Okay.
was it generic that you are a beast?
Actually, it does run in both families, but I'm obese because of thyroid problems. Now, I'll give you a little bit of backstory. I sent you a picture, and I'm not, if you look at my avatar picture, on YouTube. I wasn't obese. I was actually a size 10 petite in teens at that time. Um, in the first year of seventh grade, I was having trouble. So we went to the doctor and he found out I had thyroid problems, put me on medication. I slowly started losing weight. I failed the seventh grade, went back the next year, and the teachers couldn't believe that I had lost 60 something pounds during summer. Well, in the second year of seventh grade and the next summer, the thyroid started acting up again, so the doctor put me on it again. I went from a 16 chubby the first year to a 10 petite. I could wear my mother's dresses, but they were mini skirts on me. Um, and my mama was a small woman, very small woman. Um, Everybody started noticing me, and I didn't like that. I wasn't, when I got back to school and the guys started noticing me and all that. Now, because of the thyroid, it ran in cycles. For 5 years, I'd lose weight, get really small. Then for 3 years to 5 years, I'd slowly gain weight. Then all of a sudden, boom, I would, within a year or two, I'd lose that weight again. It took me 5 years to regain it. And this was adjustment, changing of the thyroid medicine and stuff. Um, but my mother's family was very obese. Actually, I was the smallest child born.
Okay, okay. Next question. We have these questions were sent in an email, so we're just going through them one by one. Next question, question 14. Does cancer run in your family that gave you away?
Um, Actually, let me explain something. Okay, my third, my no, my second great grandmother was a Scheck from Germany. Her family came from Germany. Um, my natural mother, her second great grandmother, was the sister to the other grandmother from Germany. It's a genetic thing for them. Um, a lot of heart problems, stuff like this. So you're having a connection of. Can you read the question again? I'm sorry.
You're fine, sweetheart. Does
Okay.
cancer run in your family
Yes,
that gave you
because of
away?
that. Right. They do. I have one, two, three, four, eight uncles and great uncles that has died of cancer of my natural family. In this family, which, like I said, the great grandmothers were sisters, or great great grandmothers were sisters. So that cancer does run in this family too. Um, I've
Okay.
had
Oh,
a lot.
sorry.
Yeah, I've had a lot of family that has died of cancer.
Question 15. Why did you marry and stay with your first husband if he was a cheater and a loser?
You have to understand a lot of the Cajun cultures. Arranged marriages were very popular back up until about the end of the 70s. I did try to run away. He had hit me. My mother caught me, and they forced me to marry him. Once I got married, I was married. I had given my oath in front of God, in front of family and friends. I did not want to marry him, but once I was in that position, hey, that's what it is. That's how it is down here. Now, yes, he abused me. Um, a lot of female going ons while I was sick in the hospital having surgery and stuff like that. He left me 3 times for I don't know who, but I have found out later. The fourth time I said I had had enough of it. But when you go in the hospital and you feel like you're dying and they run blood tests and find out that you've got a nerve pill in your system that you're allergic to, and then you know who's taken that pill, and we have the same doctor. That's the crazy thing. So he says, wait a minute, she's been at your house? I said, yeah. And like one time I'll get up and serve the Coke or coffee, or she would, or hot cocoa, or my first husband would. And then I'm put in the hospital with IVs and stuff like that. And I didn't even know where I was for almost 2 weeks until they got the medication out of my system. I had had enough.
Next question. Who filed for divorce?
I did. He left, but I filed. I also, like I said, because of the medication stuff, I had all the medical records from my doctor and everything. And he was fighting me on the divorce. He wanted to only give me $400 for 2 years. I said, I want to go back to school. I want to finish. I need at least 5 years to heal and do good for myself. Oh, I'm not doing it. So I threw the file to his attorney, and his cousins were there to testify against him because they had seen it. And the attorney looked at it and he said, you better do what she wants, because if not, she's putting you in jail. And I was going to put both of them in jail. Now, I wouldn't have gotten any money. Would it have been more satisfying? No. And then, even with the alimony, it's supposed to pay me $600 a month. She would write the checks, and when I go to the bank, they would bounce. So I had to sue him again. He did leave her after a while, and stuff like that. And yes, it was a hard time because my son had left and went with him. And
Hold that thought,
oh, okay.
because that's one of the questions
Oh,
coming up.
okay.
Who did your son live with after the
Oh,
divorce?
okay. He lived with my ex-husband to be for 3 or 4 months. He needed new tennis shoes and they wouldn't buy him none. And her daughter came home with just one thread broken off of her tennis shoe. They went and bought her $80 worth of a tennis shoe. And he says, I need some equipment for school supplies. They wouldn't do it. He calls me on a Sunday. I go to pick him up. Do you know that he breaks a window? They had locked him in the house. He broke a window to get out, and then he came and lived with me. Then I asked my ex-husband for child support, got $100 a month for him. And most of the time, like I said, my checks bounced. We didn't have enough food to eat in the house. Friends were giving us food. My mother was buying food. A growing boy and his friends coming over on the weekends and stuff. It cost a lot of money. Um, his daddy never seen him after that. He didn't want to have nothing to do with my son after that.
Right, my darling, question 18. Who paid for all your son's activity and wedding?
Well, I only got $100 for about a year, but he was still in school. My son had failed twice. Mama wanted to let him go to summer school. She was going to pay for it. My ex-husband, his daddy, just said, "Oh, hell no." And I cried because I knew what failing meant, being behind with your friends and stuff. So when he came to live with me, it took us 6 months to get that $100. And then he was about to turn 18, which I didn't get the $100 for that long. I paid for everything. When his alimony checks bounced, my mother would pay for it. Actually, it's hard to say some of this stuff. It really is, because it hurts.
Sorry to
Actually,
hear that.
my mother had given my ex-husband about $3,000, saying that I didn't pay the house note, but my name was never on the checking account. His name was. He said, "Go give this to the bank," and I give it to the bank in the envelope, put it in the night deposit. Then they were calling him saying, "It bounced, it bounced." He went to my parents and said it bounced. So they paid it. But when we divorced, he owed mama money. She went to the bank and found out he didn't pay none of that 3,000. It was $1,000 three times. Found out he didn't pay it. He just paid the interest so we could keep the house. That's the kind of person he was. And yeah, mama and I paid for everything for my son. He never showed up for his son's birthday party. He didn't show up for the wedding, his own son's wedding. He was supposed to be best man. Me and my second husband and my mama paid for almost everything. Then her mother found out we weren't going to have food at the wedding. They went to Market Basket, bought grapes and all kinds of stuff, and worked most of the night. But no, it was me. I would give, I'd lend him my car. I put gas in it, would give him some extra money when I had it. It was me.
Okay, okay. I'll go that question, that question. Why did you marry your second husband?
Well, I knew him since I was 16. I knew that he was stable. He had his own business. I knew that he had the house he was living in. And we mostly were friends. I was going to school and I didn't have my, like I said, my alimony checks were bouncing. Um, he took pity on me. I needed suits like an accountant would wear, and I couldn't afford it. And then I started working in his Photoshop, and I loved doing the photography and stuff. I think it was just that kindred spirits, I guess you can say. And we thought it was love, but it was like brothers and sisters. So, no. And then his mother, there's back things about his mother and stuff, and it just, he was a mama's boy, I found out. He would not allow me to run the air condition in the summertime or the heat in the winter. The water bed didn't have a heater. It was freezing. Um, at first, I thought, hey, this would be great. We have so much in common, you know, and I did love him. I found out I wasn't in love with them, and maybe even being friends with people, sometimes it don't do that. You both people have to give 200%. He gave 1%.
Did you go back to school for high school or college?
I went back to school for college. Um, I went to Delta Tech because it was a 2-year course to do the same thing for 4 years at McNeese. It was cheaper, and I did graduate, and I got accounting and a business management degree. and that was in 1992. Actually, and then 1994, I graduated. Actually, 20 years after high school.
You're jumping ahead, woman. You're jumping ahead. What did you what did you
Okay, I'm sorry.
graduate with? What did you graduate with? If you did.
Accounting and business management, yes.
Okay, okay. You give it woman, you're jumping ahead. Right. Next question. I'm not making sure that I take this off that I've done it. Right, okay. Have you really had over 30 surgeries?
I'm about to have my 35th surgery. But you have to understand, I've been sick my whole life. I've miscarried a lot of babies. You have to have DNCs, or if you have cysts or stuff like that, DNCs are surgical. Hysterectomy, appendix, tonsils, gallbladder,
You're jumping
ovarian.
ahead again, woman. Next
Well, I'm
question.
trying to get finished with this. I'm getting tired.
Next question. Jumping
Okay.
ahead. Right, next question. What are your disability? Oh no, I think
Oh,
that's
oh
what
my
are your disabilities now? Tell tell of their real names, whatever that
gosh,
means.
half of them I can't even pronounce. Um, Let me give you the major ones, okay? Cancer, several types of cancer.
That's another
You know,
question.
oh, okay. Then
I'm so
I was
sorry.
going to say heart problems. I got two or three different heart problems. I'm diabetic. I have Crohn's. And if that's not enough for y'all, tough patooties.
Good answer.
Oh, spinal column disorders. There you go.
There you go. I'm gonna need to take that one. Right, is these are the questions somebody sent in an email, everybody, if you're trying to wonder what's going on here. These questions were sent in an email today. So Barbara and I thought, what better way to do it all is to go live. So this live stream is an interview with Barbara with all these questions. So, next question, my darling. Is
Can
it
I say
true
something
you
before
married
you?
for money this last time?
No, no money was involved. Wolf and I was probably as poor as church mice.
Well, here
We
we go.
married for love.
You jump.
I'm sorry.
I have questions, but you jump ahead. Only kidding. Why marry Wolf if it was not for money?
It's love. And an unseen love, an energy force. I don't know. But I am so glad we got together. We got married. It's been a long, loving life.
Well, here we go. Other question you might have just answered. Did you really marry him because of some dream you had?
It wasn't a dream. I'm part Native American. My tribe wanted me to marry to move up in status, and the three men they wanted me to choose from, uh-uh. So I went into prayer and I asked God, please give me someone to marry because I've been married twice. I really don't want to get married again. So we were on Pal Talk, and I told them, I said, oh, I'm about to go into a vision. A vision is the answer to a vision quest, a question. So some of the people from Paltalk came to my house
I've
and we
heard
lit the
that.
sage and stuff. Yeah. And a name was given me to marry. And once I was out of it, we had each written down the same name. And I said, just keep it secret because I was told not to say until I find the man. And that bothered me because I really did not want to get married again. I didn't want the responsibility because I had a gift shop. I could take care of myself. You know, two bad marriages, you kind of step back a little bit. So that night I went back on Pal Talk, and so many people were asking me who, what, when, where, how. I said, I'm not supposed to. Went to bed crying about 3 a.m. in the morning. I get back on Pal Talk, and one of the people in my room that had been there for over a year was named Still Living by the Code. It was after some kind of song or something. We didn't know anybody's real names. Not really, maybe one or two of them. Um, so he
I'm
said,
still
"Can
with
we?"
the lady from Paltalk.
Yeah, that's true. Um, so we went in private message, and he said, "Look, tell me again about this blood binding engagement, whatever, how long, what." So we explained everything, and one of the Apaches from that lives right outside of San Carlos Reservation told everything, how it would do and what to expect. He says, "Look, I'm a truck driver. I can help you find this man. Why don't you blood bind with me? We'll be engaged so that way the tribe can't force you to marry someone else. We'll have 2 years." I went, "No, I'm supposed to do this, this man." And finally he says, "Look, just marry me and we'll just do this and take it one day at a time." Okay. And I went, "Oops," and put my hand over my mouth. I wasn't supposed to do that. And then after a little bit, Still Living by the Code says, "What is the guy's name?" I'm not, he said, "Well, if I'm going to help you find him." So I said the name, and he said, "What?" I said the name again. He said, "That's my real name, which is Wolf." And within like 2 or 3 weeks, we were blood binded, and he came down about 2 weeks later. He said, "Let's get married on a Wednesday." I said, "You already asked me that." He said, "No, I want to marry you. Let's get married Friday." And we did. It will be 17 years on the tip.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is how Wolfie and Miss Barbara got together. Now you know. Maybe shut your mouth from now on. Oops, did I say that out loud?
The thing I want to say, Oracle, is this has been asked me over and over and over. The proof is there. On my, you can go to my first video I upload and the second one. That is the engagement from Reliance Stadium that we had to hurry up and do. The shaman and his wife was there. It's the same shaman when we got married in October, and the wedding pictures are there with the words. How can it not be true?
Well, this next question really angers me. And I'm, I'm wanting, if I may, Miss Barbara, Mr. Wilfie, can you come to the mic for a second, please, darling?
Wolf, can you come in here to the mic?
I've got a question for you. Well, a question that's been asked. Mr. Wolfie, are you really staying? Is the question is he really staying with you out of love or is it pity? So are you staying with Miss Barbara out of love or is it pity?
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can get him in this room. He's in the other room working.
I thought he was there. Mr. Wolfie, come at the mic. I know you're sitting listening with the... Because you're in the room, you're
Okay, he's coming.
Hello.
Hello, my lovely. Now, question has been asked for you. And the question is, are you staying there with Miss Barbara out of love, or is it pity?
It's love.
There you go, my darling. There you go, everybody. And the trolls that have asked the question straight from Mr. Wolfie's mouth. He didn't know I was going to do that, so it's a wee shocker to Mr. Wolfie. But Mr. Wolfie has answered, Miss Barbara has answered. They are in it for love. With love. True love. Unexpected love. Some people can't reach that kind of love that this pair have for each other. Thank you, Mr. Wolfie. Right, sis. Next question. Is it true you can't walk?
I can walk. It's just hard for me to walk. I can't walk more than a certain distance. Um,
I've seen her walk.
yeah. And even on some of the videos before they started making fun of me, I would walk here to the bathroom or here to my bed or here to in the carport where I do my epoxy. I walk all that. I walk in the backyard with the dog. I walk from in here across the street to the car where it's parked in the shade.
You walk with me in your hand on the phone.
Yes, I have. And with other people. Some of the doctor's offices, since the hurricane, has had to move to some old buildings, and I can't get my wheelchair in there, and I do walk to them. The only time I use my wheelchair is if I have to go to like the hospital or if I decide to go get groceries or something. That's when I use my wheelchair.
Okay, my darling, thank you for that. Next question. Is it true that you have cancer, and what kind?
Yes, I have cancer, and I've posted the MRIs. I've posted the reports of the biopsies. 2021, I had sinus cancer, 2 surgeries. Since 2024, I've had 3 surgeries on the kidneys, about to have another one. I've had skin cancer, melanoma, and now the cancer has moved from my kidneys onto my lungs, but it's not big enough for them to do anything about it. I see the doctor on the 13th, and we decide what day they're going to take my right kidney out because the cancer has grown again. And I have put up the MRI. You can see the black spot in the kidney where it's starting to grow again. Now, the ENT that did my sinus cancer said in 6 months he checks. If there's no significant growth, he will say that I'm in remission of the sinus cancer. But I am not in remission of the skin cancer, the lung cancer, or the kidney cancer. I am not.
Okay, thank you very much for that, my darling.
Personal on the questions, but I'm going to be honest with it.
These questions just... Right, next question. Are you really in love with Wolfie, or is it you are too afraid of being alone?
I'm not afraid of being alone. I've been alone more than with Wolf and them. No, I am very much in love with Wolf. And To let you know how much in love, in October of 93, when I found out I had kidney cancer, I gave him permission to leave. I said, "Go, you don't need to stay with me. You knew I would have, health problems, but you didn't sign up for cancer." I loved him enough to let him go. And he said, I took an oath with you. I took an oath with God, and I took an oath with myself. I am very much in love with Wolf. And I'm worried that should God take me before him, I know how much he loves me. I'm worried for him. I want to do anything and everything I can for him. That's why I I got money saved off the side and stuff to help him after I'm gone. And if he goes before me, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't. I don't think my heart would ever heal after that.
Right. I did have a second sheet. For some strange reason, that second sheet has disappeared. I kid you not, I had two sheets on there, and from question 31 to 36, it's disappeared
You
on me,
didn't
sis.
put it up underneath the other sheets?
No, I've looked.
Huh.
It's disappeared. I, it's not down the side of me. I had I had it all together already. The second sheet,
Hmm.
the second sheet's just disappeared. That's why I was right. So I've got my phone. You think yes, but I've got a way of doing things for it to you. The sheet's disappeared with me, sis. Right, here we go. Right, here's a
I'd
question.
like to really know who sent the questions.
Question 31.
Okay.
Are you ready for this, sweetheart? You might want to bring Mr. Wolfie. Is
I
it
will be
true that
ready.
Wolf had an affair with Bio Princess, who changed her name to Southern Princess?
That's our laughable joke here. Wolf left and flew overnight to Alabama to see his dying mother. They called the police on me and all kinds of stuff, and I had just had cancer surgery. He called me from Alabama. I talked to his sister and his mother on the phone. Then he came back the next day. I had a worker here because of my health. She said that he went to her and had an affair. Now that's in February. She started emailing and all this, and the cops got it all. I don't care. I know she's a liar. It may even be a him. We don't even know who it is. She said in April she had had the baby. Now, we had not heard from this person. That was February of 2024. Um, about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, they stalked me. She popped into the room and said she wanted child support. And I started, wait a minute, February, March, April, she had a 3 month infestation of a baby and it was full grown and all that. Why wait all this time for child support? And where's the DNA test? She's never shown a picture of the baby. It's trolls people, and I'm not worried about that anymore. But it's a good laughing matter
Is it
because
okay
he
you
has his
house?
airplane tickets. He has receipts where he was in Alabama that bought some groceries over there to for the trip back. We have the video chats with his sister and his mother. Now remember, she's dying and they're causing all this trouble. That's how it goes with these people. And I don't care about that anymore. But it is a laughing stock of a
It's a laugh in
question.
the house, isn't it? We laugh about it. We do.
You know, just it's ridiculous, and yeah, she never had an affair and she's put it
Wolfie,
all over the place. Even some of the trolls has asked her, prove it.
Wolfie's not even got it. Wolfie's not got it in him to cheat. He wouldn't do that. He's not that type
No,
of gentleman.
he's not that type of man, no. You know, and I can say this, when we go to town and there's a pretty woman walking the street, he doesn't turn his head to see him or anything like that. He keeps his eyes on the road and that's it. And he's not that kind of man. He really isn't.
He's not. We knowing you and known Mr. Wolfie, and it's not since we got back together on YouTube. We've known each other. We lost touch with each other from Pal Talk, but we knew we going into spiritual rooms on who that person is, the energy that flows, the energy that from a spiritual person that gets from one to another. We, with that connection of energy, we know that flow. But
Maybe I should say this, sis. I knew when my first husband cheated. I felt it. His energy changed. When my second husband tried to cheat, I felt it and I confronted him right away. But somebody had lied, and that's why I'm laughing. There was a lady that was supposed to have had an affair with him and was supposed to have had a child for him, and all. That's why we laugh about this person. There's an energy that changes in a man when he's doing something he's not supposed to be doing, and I'm going to leave it at that. Or a woman.
we'll leave it at that. Right. Next question that I felt was sick. And right, but the question is there. Never anyway. Do
Go
you
ahead.
have your will and burial planned?
My burial's been planned since 1991, but since I married Wolf, I hadn't changed it. In October and December of 2023, they had suggested I was going to be buried in the ground. I decided to be cremated. So we went together as a couple and made our burial plans. Everything's there. Insurances are there. Money's there. You know, I don't know why people would ask that. Maybe because I do have cancer. I don't know.
Another sick question. Is it true you're addicted to morphine?
No, I'm not. Last time I had morphine, I will tell you what. I was in the hospital actually. I don't like morphine. Me and the doctor goes back and forth. Well, I'm going to give you some morphine. No, you ain't. Yes, I am. No, you ain't. Yes, I am. Well, how much? Oh, 5 units. Nope, two. Miss Barbara, 5 units, you need it, you're in pain. I said, I need just enough to take the edge off. I hate morphine. I hate the way it makes me feel. And he said, okay, I'll drop down to 4 units. I said, okay, 1 unit. He said, Miss Barbara, that's how much I hate it. It's not a medication that anybody should have. And no, no, uh-uh.
Okay, okay. Next question. Yada, 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 yada. Maybe that's why they've mislaid this bit of paper. And the questions, it was underneath that bit of paper. Where the flipping hell's it gone? Anywho, did you actually get put in hospital for overdosing on Xanax?
No, no, uh-uh. I have never overdosed on any medication. No, no, no. I hate taking pills, and I will do without it. I'd suffer. I'll cry. Anything. What they're getting that from was they had put me on Xanax when I lost my twins, and it was a doctor that thought he always knew better, and he kept upping the dosage. And one day, within a year, I didn't like, I was sleeping all the time. I couldn't do anything. So I was put in the hospital and they put me on IV and they took me off the Xanax very slowly because you can go into convulsions. You can, all kinds of things. And they took me off and put me on another medication. Within a year, I hated that mess, and then they took me off of it and put me on the mess, and I'm on now. It is a mood stabilizer for my PTSD and bipolar, and that's the only pill I'm on.
Okay, okay. I'm going to mincemeat this next word, but I'm going to give it a try the Scottish way.
Mm.
You'll understand the word I'm trying to say, but I'm going to mincemeat it anyway. Is it true that you have Munchausen disease?
Munchausen?
Yes.
Um, no. It's been proven I have all this disorder. Actually, there is a little over 40 different things wrong with my body that I've lived with my whole life. It is not Munchausen. They think it is. That's why I have many times put up medical records on my community page to show you, because they said I'm faking cancer, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. When I talked to my doctor about Munchausen disease, they said, we don't even say that no more. It's still there. You can find it on the computer, but they don't say people has that because they're finding out even those that they did say has it has other physical disabilities. It is those that just wants to put you down and stuff, and that's what I'm trying to get away from. And that's why I'm wondering why all these questions.
Hey, my darling. Last and final question.
Okay.
How I'm going to put this bloody question down, I'll never know. But hey, this is how the question is being asked on. Right, yada yada yada. Right, you're going to answer it. Is it true that you had butthole surgery?
What do you mean by butthole surgery? Anyone
I'm
who's had hemorrhoids removed is a butthole surgery. But no, I have not had a butthole surgery. What happened is the wall between the colon and the vagina ripped 4 inches. Now, they couldn't go in through the vagina to stitch it up because the rip was worse in the colon. So, yes, they got to go through the butthole if you want to call that, but it's not a butthole surgery. I think that's so funny. I'm sorry. I find that very funny.
Well, I looked at the question and thought, what the fizz? What to say another word then and meant. All the questions that have been asked, I'm sitting here going, what the?
Well, you know what? You know another reason I'm laughing? Because there's only two people that keeps mentioning I had a butthole surgery. Now I know where some of these questions came from. They're showing themselves, and that's dumb. But
Uh,
I forgive them, and I have to move on. I'm trying to be more peaceful because my life is getting harder. I'm very tired. I could sleep probably all night long now. Um, and you know what? I've answered these questions probably 100 times in the last 3 years. Why is it being asked again? There's videos. I have things I've had to turn into YouTube to prove that they're wrong. Here's the proof, this is what happened. They've got my medical records, they've got my dental records, they've got a list of all my medication, they have a list of the divorces, the annulments, you know, they have we were they have it that I scammed people out $6,000, which one lady started it, and it was
sis,
never true.
I'm going to stop there a second. I'm going to stop you there because I have a gentleman coming forward, and this gentleman is saying it's none of their goddamn fucking business.
Uh-oh. Somebody didn't like that. It isn't. None of it is. And I've been showing proof over and over and over and over, and I'm okay with it. They know the truth. They just don't. They want to make,
I mean, no, a molehill.
yeah. They they don't have content, so they use AI and they keep attacking and attacking. I'm over with all that. That's why I said, why all the questions? Because if you go back and look at my video, what I did last night, I mean it. It's vengeance. It's revenge for something I never really did, something they pushed me into. I'm away from that. And even, like I said, that gives some of the question gives me the thought of who wrote the list of questions. Okay. Um, but I'm not angry with them. I'm okay with it.
But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Hugs, Karen. How are you, my darling? Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Barbara got this list of questions today, but it was sent I can't say the word. Secretly. It's not a true email address. Can't say the word anonymous. Aye, that word.
Anonymous. Anonymous.
Aye,
Is it?
that's the word.
Okay.
They sent it that way. Don't ask me to try and say it because it's not happening. I'm Scottish. So she doesn't know who sent these questions. We have an idea, but Miss Barbara and I thought, why not put this to bed once and for all? Do an interview with the list of questions. Spirit stole the second sheet, so I had to relate to the phone. But it is all in an. I that Karen, that's the unknown. See, I still you've typed it out. I still can't bloody say it. Okay, anonymously. Yes, need enough. This is there. So we're laying this to bed once and for all. Okay? Miss Barbara has answered truthfully, honestly. You have heard from Mr. Wolfie. He loves Miss Barbara. Miss Barbara loves Mr. Wolfie. They are in love. They share the same, well, near enough the same bed, still in the same room. They're side by side, but they love each other regardless. People are just trying to get out there and cause problems, to cause hassle, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop. And it's a case of, regardless of what goes on now, because Miss Barbara is not going to mention it again, this interview will be up on YouTube, not only on my channel, but Miss Barbara is going to put on her channel, and that is the one and only channel it is allowed to be on. This is copyrighted. Okay, this is copyrighted. All rights reserved. Only Miss Barbara gets to put this interview up on her channel. If it is seen on anybody else's channel, all hell will break loose. That's not coming from Miss Barbara. Oh, outside. Not coming from Miss Barbara. It's coming from me. This is copyrighted, all rights reserved. If I see it be played on anybody else's channel, I will copy strike you, and I will, oh, yada, 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 yada. Not only one, I know there's multiple yous out there listening that the troll, I'm on about the trolls. This stream, this here, these questions are copyrighted, all rights reserved, and the only person that I'm giving permission for this interview to be played again is on Miss Barbara's stream. She is the only one. Are you listening? Miss Barbara is the only one that is allowed to take the stream and put it on the channel.
And actually, I don't know if I even want to. You know, I've answered these questions over and over and over in the last 3 years. They're continuing. When I got, when I heard the questions, when I read the first question and heard the first one, I said, oh no, not again. Here we go again. You know, all I'm asking for is peace. I'm suffering from 3 different cancers right now. And y'all don't know what that does to a person. You don't know what it does. I mean, my body is starting to wear down. And because of the cancer and the low immune system, it's now attacked my spinal cord column. It's deteriorating. I still walk. I still go places. I still have company here. People would rather me come here and visit than me go to them because they know I'm more comfortable here. And I don't want any trouble started. But if you want to learn some of these answers and see if I said the truth, go back and look at some of my videos. You'll see the truth is there. It's the same thing as what I said today. I might elaborate it a little bit more about the adoption and, back and forth. But what I don't understand is why people have to know everything about somebody else when they have really nothing to do with them. I don't know. I was shocked. I stayed in bed until it was almost 10:30 this morning. I was shocked when I woke up and saw I had over 26,000 subscribers, and I'm not doing anything for them. They keep saying I buy them, and I haven't bought anything. All my extra monies went to attorneys to help pay for different things that I had to do. It wasn't against someone, it was just legal things like the attorney for the CPAP and, stuff like that.
Do not give any more information out. You
They
pay
already know
for what
that.
you need to pay. You do not need to sit and pay for subs. YouTube doesn't like people paying for subs.
No, they'll take your channel down for it. But I've earned every minute I've been on YouTube. Everything I sold, everything I purchased, every day of writing poems and putting them to music, getting different images, doing different things, my epoxy resin and all that. That is mine and mine alone. Wait a minute, that's my phone. I don't even know who it is. Um,
I'm sitting here and thinking, I can hear a wolf.
I had a Christian song on it, and it was so peaceful that it wouldn't wake me up. So I had to put the wolf back on. But I'm of the wolf clan, so yeah. Um,
I'm
what I'm
sitting here
saying,
and I'm like, who let the wolf in?
yeah. Um, our lives are private. I've given you a lot of information on mine, but there's a lot of information y'all still don't know. But am I going to each of you interfering in y'all's lives and stuff? No, don't interfere in mine, please. I'm just asking for peace and quiet. My life is coming to an end. If they can't take this kidney out and get the specialist they need to get it out, I'm towards the end of the time they gave me because the kidney and the immune system are attacking my muscles now. It's, you know, hats, please be nice. Thank you. It's a daily battle, one thing or another.
That was me.
Yeah. And, it's, well, right now I have my hands together to my chest. I have been for a little while trying to pray and trying to know what to say or do. But, you know, give me my last little bit of time I have in peace. Stop the lies, the faking, all that. That's all I asked. And I enjoy doing my songs and my videos and stuff and all like that. Hats through the grapevine. I heard you and Emma got married. Congratulations if y'all did. I hope y'all have a peaceful life together, like Wolf and I do. Um, I've changed. If they want to break me down, that's them. That's not me. Because I'm not retaliating back anymore. I'm not trying to do anything. Whoever sent this email with this kind of questions, it embarrassed me. But when I was talking to Oracle, I said, should I answer them? Should I not? So I talked to someone else and they said, you should answer them because you've already answered them ever since you've been on YouTube. You've posted the truth up there. They say, oh, it looks fake. They just don't want, they just want something to argue about, to degrade someone. And if they're degrading someone else, they're degrading themselves. I said, that's them. It's not me. I don't go in all those other rooms. There's about 3 rooms I do go in. That's it. I stick to my doctor's appointments. Oracle and I, every morning when I get up, I call her on Facebook and we're like 2 hours. I pour my epoxy or I'm taking the epoxy out. Then I have
And she
doctor's.
phones me,
Yeah. And
or I phone her.
yeah, it's just a quiet life. Now I understand what my dad said, and I understand what the minister told me about. Forgiving people is one thing, forgetting is very hard. But if you don't forget, that's revenge, that's vengeful, and you'll never heal. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to forget all that. And then the questions came up, but they were asked, I answered. You know, you can go back in some of my lives, you'll see it's the same answers, maybe said in a different way, but it's the same thing. I found Jesus again. I found the Lord and the Holy Spirit. And the question's going to come up. Yes, I am registered, and I've said this many times in my life. I am a registered minister with the state of
You say that
Louisiana.
wrong there. You are an elder.
No, we picked the name. We had 3 names once I graduated that we could pick from: minister, reverend, or elder. And since we were already with the Native Americans, we called the older ones elders. So I'm an my name is Elder, but it is still giving me. I have my license. I can do weddings, baptisms, um, the funerals, and I have married quite a few of them since I've gotten. So I am registered with the state of Louisiana. I have been since, oh my gosh, 15 years maybe, 14, 15 years. And a lot of people come to me.
And I've seen the certificate, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know. I've seen the certificate. I've seen quite a lot of things that other people have not seen. Just saying. But it's getting to that point, my darling. It is
I feel like I want
11:33
to.
here. It's 11:33. There is two coming up, ladies and gentlemen. There is two live scheduled. One for Monday. It's a little special day. So please be here
Y'all
for,
join us. It's going to be her birthday.
yeah, it's my
I
special
told
day
her I
on
want to
Monday.
order her a chocolate cake.
Special day Monday. Um, so hopefully you can all celebrate it with me. That's at 7 p.m. UK time, Monday night. It is 10 a.m. Central, and that'll be
Yes, I.
11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday. And then on the 11th of October, we have the sale. I've not got much to show, but I've got a little few things. There is 4 people coming on the 11th live on YouTube on Miss Barbara's. Oh, Hamlet that side. Um, YouTube channel, and we'll all be live there. As I say, it's 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is 4 o'clock UK time, Karen, for me and you. So big sale of resin, jewellery, all kinds of things on the 11th. So be there or be square.
How did I know you were going to say that?
Great minds think alike. Anyway, any last words, my darling?
Thank you very much. I'm sorry this happened.
No. I'm sorry it happened, my darling. Okay? I'm sorry it happened. Because I was just the one asking the questions. It's your life you're having to put on display once again. But this time, your marriage, your health, and whatnot will be the last time, hopefully, that things will be discussed and that we've put a lot of things to bed. And to bed, it will stay unless some snotty person decides to send an email with a whole load of questions, but we'll not be doing it again. They can toff off.
See, I can't. I've changed so much. I got three of my friends that cusses a lot, and I've got two of them that has stopped one calls, and I'm like, hey, please. In 1 minute, she could say cuss words 5 or 6 times. I said, please, for me. So she's trying to learn to stop, but she hasn't. But
Sis,
I want
I
to
am
thank everybody.
Scottish. I'm Scottish. And it's a case of these questions tonight have really fucked me off. I whispered it. And they really have really fucked me off. It's degrading. It is. I'm sitting here, and I know you, sis. We talk 3, 4 times a day if need, and it's a case of yada yada yada. We see what's been done. We see how people have went after you. We have seen how people. It's quite funny because they call me the psychic scammer, which they've never heard me reading their puff. I've never given them a reading in their puff, and I would never do a reading for them in their puff. So they don't know me. So how they called me that, I'll never know. They called me a grifter. Don't grift. If somebody wants to pay me for my time, my energy, that is it is what it is. And it's not that, it's I love this woman. She is a sister to me. She's a spiritual sister to me.
Thank you so much.
And she's family. And it's a case of, for me, like when I read these questions earlier before we came on live, I was angry. Sis will tell you, I swore like a trooper. And there was a few F-bombs and other things. I apologised. But I read these questions and I was writing them down. As I said, there was another bit of paper just like that with questions, and I can't find it anywhere. And it was questions from 31 to 36, and it's gone. I can't find it anywhere. And it was on my clipboard, it was all together.
Sis, it's okay. The questions hurt a little bit, but I told the truth. I told the answers. I explained it the way I could. And this is anybody else has questions, they're going to keep emailing you or me or whatever. It's going to keep coming. They're not going to stop. But if I can just say, okay, enough. That happened this morning and move on and forgive them, forget it, and add something positive. I'm going to do it because you know what? That lady minister that talked to me, she made so much sense that even the men ministers I've talked to or preachers or whatever, they didn't put it in an understanding that I could understand. And she says, you've got this in you. You've got so many cultures within you that you've got to pull the resources together. You've got to understand that people are cruel out there, but you don't have to accept the cruelty. Just drop it, leave it behind. Like you're throwing your fishing pole in the water, you pull it back and it got caught on a log. What you don't go in the river or the lake to get your fishing hook. You cut the line and cut the line to all this. I answered it. All this has already been said. I don't want to hear it again. They want to ask it again. It's going in the trash can, sis. And that's what I'm telling you. We're going to do this. We can. And we may need each other's help. And we may not be the only one because we got some friends that they're attacking too. If we can show them that we can be positive with a positive attitude and forgiveness and kindness, and that's what I say in my room, be kind to each other, forgive each other. And I will pray in Jesus' name right now to God, forgive the person who ever sent all these questions. That's all we can do. It falls upon them now because I'm dropping it. And I will not answer any more questions that are sent. Nothing. I think my life has been an open book. But I thank you for doing what you did. I
Sis,
couldn't I couldn't have done it.
sis, my
I couldn't have
darling,
done it alone.
you know how, well, maybe you don't know, that in a spiritual way, I have got no wooden floors. My bedroom's carpeted. And I swear, I just seen a broom drop.
You just seen what?
A broom drop on my floor, and I heard the broom drop.
You're more connected to, how can I say this? Um, when I was being taught about the different countries, Scotland, when I found out I was part Scottish and part Irish and all this, Scotland is more or less what they call ancient energy. England and Ireland, very, very ancient energy. Something that happened 500 years ago may just appear. Your house could have been built on where another house was, and she used an old broom, and the broom dropped. It's a energy that just reacts over and over. It's like Elton's house, his dad's footsteps, heavy, heavy, heavy footsteps. His mother, you can hear her at times says, "Bless Jesus, bless the Lord, love Jesus, love the Lord." And it's so very faint, but you can feel the energy is electric, is static, is cold.
We'll type something in.
We both do, yeah. Um, Actually, 60% Native American. Wait, let me see if I can find that again. Um, and this is, okay. This is coming from Ancestry. It's not coming from the other one. Ancestry.com. Here it is. Um, View breakdown. Okay. 60% Indigenous America's North. Then France is next at 25%. Then the next one is Germ- Germanic Europe, 5%. Scotland, then Basque, Basque. Wasn't that part of France at one time? And then Spain, Spanish, and stuff like that. Then I have like a half a percent, half a percent. You add it all up, and then they give you the map of it. And it's like, here's your parents. Parent number one, parent number two. Now, the main thing that they had trouble with doing some of the DNA, which I went to somewhere else, was that I had dual DNA. But it was the same DNA. That's why I paid twice to make sure that it was correct. We are who we are. We need to stay calm. We need to stay how can I say this? Stable, kind to each other, help each other, understand each other. Because when people put things on here and they say, well, I have colon cancer, I'm not going to say, prove it. You know, that's rude. That's disrespectful. I believe it.
Sweetheart, I've just put in on the 10th of September 1547 was the Battle of Pinkie, Scotland.
Yep. Okay, Karen, I don't know if you watch a lot of YouTube, but I did ghost hunting, house cleaning of elements. This is part of the bayou and this is part of the Native American and stuff. You have what's called residual energy. That is like, say there was a wedding that happened 500 years ago in an old church that they might have remodeled. That energy came back alive. And on the same day, at the same time, you may see the people go through. Same thing like next door, at the house next door, my ex husband. Taps came in. Not international taps, but the USA taps with Jason and them. They sent a group over here and they took pictures. And when they took a picture of one TV, there's a little white figure. His mother was short. Her head, top of her head hit the bottom of the cabinet. Her hands are sticking out right at the sink. It's just a white figure. You can tell it's a woman. It's something they do every day. They're going to keep doing it. They do not realize that they're not supposed to be here.
They're stuck in a time loop.
Yeah, it's a time loop. Same thing with you go to Gettysburg, where Gettysburg happened and Civil War things happen. Where it's a trauma, it stays, it lingers, it will reappear. Now, there's other things that. Uh oh. Excuse me, I gotta go off voice.
It's the sneezing fit. Here we go, here we go. It's a case of, yes. Hello, everybody in the chat, those that are lingering about, just listening in the background. How are you doing this evening? I hope you're well. If you are a friend, please type away. If you're a foe, want to cause hassle.
Karen, I didn't have as many sneezes. And my voice is going to be changing because it's very sore from sneezing. And my sinuses are stopping up. Karen, if you would have been through some of the things I've been through in the South, very historical, very cultural, I was pulled out of a waterbed, thrown on the floor because there was a tornado going over the house. But the house that I was living in was my uncle and my aunt's. It's just different things, We can't explain it. People thinks we're crazy, but I bet you they've experienced some of this too. It's just an understanding that energy is the spirit is energy. The body dies, the soul's supposed to go to heaven, the mind dies, but the energy that made up that body continues from one ear to another, to another, to another, to another. Two people may join up years from now and say, wait a minute, I kind of know you. Did you do, didn't you do this, this, and this? And that's how Wolf and he realized what we were feeling were truth. I remember somewhere in the past that I found a box with a beautiful handmade dress in it. And I was trying it on and I was kind of, floating around when you find something pretty when all you know is burlap sack dresses. And then the door swings open and the man that you love, but y'all are not married, he works with your brother with training dogs for the owner of the land, puts the leashes up and he's full of mud and he sees you. This is one connection we were able to connect that sometime in the past we had the same energy flow. Don't deny things like that because you never know when God's going to look. God gave me his name. I knew him. I was still living by the code. Never seen a picture of him, except one time we did see him coming out of a convenience store, but he had his big old cowboy hat and his head was down. Couldn't see his face. He still living by the code, was tall and lanky. Know what we seen? He had his webcam on, but it was on the highway. Go zoom. One of the highway, signs would go zoom so fast you couldn't even read it because he was a truck driver. There's a connection there from way in the past that he might have felt between us. Other people can feel it. I know 3 other couples that got together because of memories they had of a certain time in the past, and they both connected with that energy. It's all around us, but it's up to us if we use it as good or bad. And I want to use mine as good. That's
And
what I
in
want.
that, and that, in put my teeth back in. And no, I do not have ulcers. It's just a way of saying, spirit, get out. It's not that stream. Anyway, and on that note, sweetheart, we've been on stream nearly 2 hours. It is
It's
five.
midnight over there.
It is 5 to midnight, sweetheart.
That's what I said. It's almost midnight there.
Hmm.
Thank you, sis. I'll talk to you in the morning. I smell some good tuna fish and stuff that Wolf cooked and done for supper. I want to thank everybody that came and joined in. And I guess I'll post it on my community post. Now, I didn't really talk about anybody on here. I just, the questions I know who probably sent it. When she started reading some of the questions, okay, I don't condemn them. I'm not even angry at them. You want to know me? When I'm on, type something in. Make sure it's nice, though. Some of the questions tonight were pretty rough. So I will say, God bless to each and every one of you. May you stay safe and protected by God. And if you're hurting, may He touch you with His healing grace. Amen.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, for those that popped in, for those that have been sitting there watching away, thank you so much. For those that may be watching in the replay slot, thank you. Very much obliged. If you've not already done so, please subscribe, like, and comment. Me likes a comment. If I don't like your comment, your comment will go. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this stream is copyrighted, all rights reserved. And in that note, much love and many blessings, not just for me, and as you've already heard from Miss Barbara, blessings from her also, and the tickling my nose. I will bid you fair night, and I will speak to you soon. God bless all.
Good night,
Take care.
everybody.
Good night.